Welcome to Global Bones Podcast, where companies cross borders. In this episode, I interview a professional from the e-commerce and Amazon arena who is an expert in global product sourcing. We talk about uh, China, other countries that you could outsource your products, and also something very interesting related to the ethical aspects of product sourcing. So, if you don't want to miss it, just stay tuned. Hello, Sebastian. How are you?
Hello, Oscar. Thank you very much for asking. I'm perfectly fine, I have to say. And in such company, I guess, how much better could a Friday be?
That's cool.
How are you
That's cool.
doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to this episode because product sourcing is one of the without products we can't sell. So I reckon this is going to be a very interesting episode today. So before getting into it, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up into this amazing field of product sourcing?
I'm sure, absolutely. The background story, I think, is probably like for a lot of startups, very similar. Originally, I went to university, studied electrical engineering, and I was for 12 years with one of the Fortune 500 companies in industrial automation. So I am actually an industrial automation electrical engineer, and after living in Germany. I mean, I'm German myself, and after the first 7 years in Germany, I think, or so, or 6, I asked the company to say, hey, I want to go abroad again, but this time professionally. I was lucky enough in high school to go for 1 year to the US. But then went professionally on there, and I said, I on purpose want to go the tough way. Don't send me to Sweden. I mean, that's Europe. Don't send me to Singapore. That's Asia for beginners. I want to go the tough way. Send me to China. And then I went over and I stayed in China. And actually later on, after 3 years in China, I got another promotion. And well, it ended up in the beginners of Asia in Singapore for another 2.5, 3 years or so. And while working in, it was ABB, a huge industrial automation electrification company, over the last 6 or 7 weeks before leaving China, or a little bit longer, I was starting to listen into a podcast because I had a lot of overtime, a lot of hours to spend as well. And I was annoying my better half, my girlfriend, which is now still with me, actually. And she said, Sebastian, you're annoying. Here, listen to that podcast. And back then it was Scott Volker, the amazing seller. And I listened to this and I thought, I was like, that's interesting. Okay, makes sense. Selling products on Amazon. By the way, I'm here right now at the source. I'm in China. So I started sourcing the first products for myself. And we still have 2 own brands right now. So we're still sellers, selling on Amazon, Shopify, but also on big box retail or high street stores. But my wife has been doing sourcing all her life long. And she's been doing this now. By now, I always say, it's like, if I say 20 years, I get, slapped left and right because it's only 19 years. So yes, she's younger. And then we just, we started kicking off because we connected with a lot of Amazon sellers. And this is how the word then spread. And it was kind of created from demand. And that's where Zignify is here right now. So we do sourcing for a lot of Amazon and e-commerce sellers.
Wow, amazing story. Obviously, you merge your partner's like background with you being in China, so that's amazing, no? Just one aside question: where does the name of the company come from? Because I'm very curious about all namings, and I think this is one of the first things a company have to take into account when going cross borders, which is the naming, no?
That's
What
true.
is this Zignify coming from?
Well, I mean, my wife was doing, sourcing before already on her own, and she was like as a freelancer working, starting, hey, I need to build a brand, I need to build a name and everything. And she wanted to do something, significant. So that's why you spell
Ah,
significant with a Z. Um,
okay.
and then kind of how can you, make this sound funny or fancy, or, of course, a good way. What do people do? Hey, there's this Spotify, this Shopify, this,
Okay.
Ecommerceify. So that's where pretty much then Zignify came out of. And
Hmm.
originally, where's my fingers? Like here, now you see it's a
Yeah.
ZI. In the
Yeah.
beginning, it was a Z only. How do you pronounce it? Z or Z? Z, right?
Uh, yeah. It depends on US or UK.
Yeah. So
So
like,
you
well,
can
the last
you can
letter
say
of the
them.
alphabet, at least
Yeah.
of our alphabet. And my wife, she's Russian. So she used
Uh-huh.
to live in China, but she's from Russia. And then, when the war started, Russia against
Hmm.
Ukraine, and we noticed like, oh my God, look at what's written in those tanks. And look at our logo. Where is it here? We had the
Oh
Z
wow.
only. And I was like, "Ooh, that's
Maybe
absolutely
not.
not possible. I mean, yes, you're Russian, but we don't support what Putin and his whole
Thing.
government
Yeah.
regime there is doing. So we
Yeah.
need to come up with something." We said, hey, now it almost looks like a chemical element, a ZI. So that's where this came.
Hmm. Yeah.
Significant, and give it a short name.
Significant, definitely. And obviously, as I said in my introduction, there is nothing more significant than product sourcing. Can you tell us a little bit about what and how Signify helps brands
Uh-huh.
in their sourcing? Is it because you help them choose the country to source from, or you do the whole thing? Or tell us, please.
I mean, like you say, without having a product, you don't really make much money. And you can have digital products, and that's something we don't source. We do anything that's tangible, anything that you can touch, that you can do. By the way, if somebody wants to have better cameras than I have here, the ones that are shaking on an elevated desk, maybe we can look into cameras for you. But the one that I'm using is actually a pretty cool OpSpot camera. It follows your movements and
Yeah,
everything. So they made a good
yeah.
job. But rising tables, that are
Yeah,
still steady and
I
solid.
think
Good product
I
idea.
think it's yeah, I think the elevated that's more than the camera maybe.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
try to stand still. But
so
when it comes to sorry.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you take care of the whole process then.
Yeah, I mean, we usually, most of the customers, they are already maybe experienced or starting with second, third, fourth product.
Mhm.
Also, some of them come with the first product. We can help, of course, find product ideas, do like trend hunting, product niche analysis, category analysis, and all of those things. But most of our customers usually come with a clear expectations, like, well, easy. That's the link of the competitor I want to beat, and those are the changes I want to have, right? So, for
Mhm.
example, you go to the 1-star, 2-star, 3-star reviews, you drag and drop and copy all of them, throw them into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, that's maybe many people know the small hack, not. You go to
Mhm.
ChatGPT and say, it's like, ChatGPT, this is a list of 300 negative reviews. Tell me the main problems of it. What are the top 10 issues?
Mhm.
And well, this is a good way of improving a product, right? And then we can help, of course, identify the country. Should it be China? Should it be outside China? We're here like a global product sourcing. I usually say minus North Korea, minus Russia, because those are the two countries we currently not really source from.
Mhm.
Um, and then it can continue with, of course, the product, not only finding manufacturers, and usually we target to find 30 to 60 potential producers in
Mhm.
order to get as many quotations as possible, or as reasonably possible, and
Mhm.
then to negotiate the prices, to, of course, push the prices to a bottom end where it is very interesting for us, but still, of course, on the other hand, be open, be honest, treat the producers with respect. They also need to earn money and have a family and probably the dream of building a business. So they
Yeah.
also, of course, must earn some money. Quality control, mass production, arranging for shipment, finding logistics companies, doing packaging design, finding out what certificates do you need to fulfill in order to sell in your country,
Mhm.
patents, and if you need to apply for all of those or do the tests in the laboratories. Those are the typical things for somebody who wants to find a manufacturer. Again, not only in China, but elsewhere as well. But a lot of clients right now, they come to us and they are waking up of saying, everybody wants to make more money, make more profit, but many are also start to wake up and understand with the same amount of sales, you could make more money by reducing the prices, of course, for example, of your bestsellers. So think about, when was the last time that I optimized really the prices of my bestseller? Could I go to a sourcing company or do this, of course, on my own? Contact my existing supplier and or find another 30 to 60 potential producers and start negotiating prices. Because if you have a bestseller, and maybe this comes later in a case study, you can massively make a lot more money by not even selling a single product more. And that's the real money, is made in purchasing, right? Not in sales. Not only in sales.
Yeah, cost control definitely is, one of the keys here, I reckon. And you just mentioned that you are a global product sourcing company, because like people, when we think about product sourcing, we obviously think about China. What are the different countries or emerging countries? Because I know there are some emerging countries that are very good for sourcing products. So tell
there's
us,
most of the times,
enlighten us.
I have to say, most of the times, there is there's nothing bad with China. We ourselves used to live in China for quite a long time, and also Asia in general. You can find the best products and the best quality in China, of course, if you're willing to pay for it. In despite of what the main customer may say, oh, China products, bad quality. No, not really, not necessarily. China is still a good country. But it depends on, for example, if you're selling, for example, in the US, you may see the issue of Trump tariffs or like the anti-dumping import tariffs against goods from China. Hint, hint, if you have those issues, you may find that very same product in another country with maybe 0% import tariffs instead of whatever, 25, 27, 48% penalties. In other countries that, of course, are coming up when it goes to Asia is a lot. Vietnam is a strong market, but also we're doing sourcing also in Thailand, in Malaysia, other countries around. Then you're on the a little bit further west, you then, of course, have lots of it also for textile, leather, also some plastic, metal goods, India. But when it also comes specifically to textile and stuff, it's, of course, Pakistan, Bangladesh. In Europe, you may have, of course, Germany as a made in Germany great market, Austria, Switzerland, Switzerland, yes and no. I wanted to more say Czech Republic, Poland, the whole Eastern European bloc, Turkey as well. And when it comes further towards the West, towards the US, sourcing inside the US, or one of the markets where the Chinese are pumping a lot of money in there to make Chinese products, but made in Mexico. Mexico is a big market as well as, of course, South America. So in short, there's hardly, look at what those countries are good for, right? What are the biggest exports, and what countries produce and what you can build there or find there. So those are, but still the main markets. You would have those pockets in China, Southeast Asia, of course, Japan, Korea as well. Then you have this India, Pakistan, Bangladesh cluster. You have Europe, Eastern Europe, and Turkey. And then the Americas, like, US, Mexico, and parts of the southern or the LATAM area.
That's like actually the whole world, basically. So one of the recurrent topics in this podcast is related to how we need do a negotiation across the globe. And I reckon that when you want to get the best sourcing products for your clients, you have to, as you said, negotiate and push down the quote, whatever the costs. How do you manage about these negotiation skills? Because I reckon it's not the same to negotiate with Mexico or Vietnam or any other countries that you just mentioned. how do you manage about this negotiation skills? You must be like a super businessman, you and your team.
Well, I don't know if I'm a super businessman, but I can tell we have a really, really good team out there and behind in Zignify. And by now, I have to be open, honest. It's not us or my wife really Zignify anymore. It's 60 plus women. They are
Yeah,
the
yeah.
company and they're delivering the good job. And I'm just the one who was honored to be invited here into your podcast. So maybe I'm just a talker. Um, the For sure, you do have different negotiation skills or techniques, or in general, like negotiation behavior inside the countries.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm,
I'll tell you one of the basic things. When still before going to China, we were living in Germany, and when you go somewhere and say that's the price, and you say it's like it's expensive, but okay, that's the price. Then once you go
yeah.
to China and you start understanding, it's like, oops, it's like everything is negotiable. It's like, what?
Mhm,
So one of the best or impressions from me was back then when living there, you go to the so-called fake markets. Well, to
mhm,
be honest, fake markets is you get a lot of fake goods out there. It may be high-rise buildings, it may be underground malls that are existing in China, and you just go in and
mhm,
you start, you can negotiate with them a little bit. But then at the same time, um, you may also see and understand that one of the good techniques could be once you go there and negotiate the prices, and if they offer you $170 for a suitcase, well, you maybe start with $30, because yes, they're massively different prices, and then you negotiate more, or even suits and jackets and anything, and then you start, walking away. And it's like,
mhm.
no, that's not good. But I walk away then on purpose because I know this guy. I'm walking
It's gonna
down and
come.
yell
Yeah.
and just kind of pretend I don't hear him. 50, 40. And it's just like
Yeah.
depending on, then you turn around, it's like, all right, come on, it's just a culture. And you have
Mhm,
those cultures, of course, different cultures in different countries. And how do you deal with that? Well, either you get to know all of them, or
mhm.
we have our team sitting remotely everywhere where the production
Uh-huh.
happens. So we
That is
speak
precisely, yeah, my next question. So your team is actually like multi lingual, multicultural in order to manage these differences, is it?
slightly.
Slightly.
I think we
Okay.
speak about 20 languages by now, in the team.
Not too
Not me
bad.
myself, of course. That's all.
Not
Believe
too
me, you can
bad.
cover nearly the whole world. I mean, especially when you go to Europe and you go to Eastern Europe, and you may have the Serbian, the Croatian, the
Yeah,
Romanian, the
yeah,
Bulgarian, the Turkish, and all of that. I mean,
yeah.
that's one of the things that you maybe also have. Even if you do sourcing, of course, on your own or with the help of somebody else, having a
Mhm,
local who speaks the language
mhm,
opens doors, just simply for
mhm,
the fact and for the reason, if I would be speaking in your mother tongue, or actually pointing this way right now, um,
mhm.
I could reach you a lot easier, instead of if I was a German and go contact you with my broken German, and then try to get something out of you, and then you'll just like, nah, what? But if I would be speaking, I guess, Spanish, right?
Mhm.
Um, then I
Yeah,
may
it
be
would
a
be easier. Yeah.
more successful. And if
Yeah,
you go,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like Poland, a huge country. If you go in there, or the French, I mean, go to
Mhm.
France and try things with English. They will not even look at you. Or if you go there
Yeah.
over there with Germany, we have a little bit of a history, of course, as well, where
Mhm,
Germans are not necessarily welcome. But if you show and
mhm,
you try and you push a little bit of their French out, but you at least you show you try, it
mhm,
works completely different ways.
mhm. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I reckon that people just want to do business. That's it. You have to sort of like find this middle ground, no, in
Mhm.
between, so it works out. Something that just pop up into my mind, because we are talking about, and you mentioned before, no, something which is, I reckon, very interesting and very good on your side, which is like the ethical part of like sourcing products, that you
Mhm.
said, okay, you if you have like a bestseller, you kind of sort of like try to negotiate with your current suppliers, but up to the point that they need to also earn a living, no? So
Mm.
what's this ethical thing, no, which I reckon that it's like very good for you to have, which I reckon that not everyone's thinking ethically when product sourcing, maybe. what's this ethics going around? What do you reckon
I mean,
about
one of the
this
reasons why
topic?
doing
Yeah.
yeah, one of the reasons why staying ethical, why staying, not bleeding them down to make it no profit or maybe even have a loss in money is,
Mhm.
well, look, you're sourcing a product and you are hoping that this thing will go through the roof, right?
Mhm.
You will need them to reproduce and they should have fun doing that. You don't want them necessarily to change their business once they have created a really good product and then you come back later and you said, nah, it wasn't profitable for us. We do something different. We are now into, I don't know, renting out hotels or so. Well,
Yeah.
okay, bad example because they may not be renting out hotels if they didn't make money before, but you know what I get, right? Or where I
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, to be open, to be honest, I think this is just humankind, or human kindness. I mean, it's other humans. It's not.
Mhm.
I mean, please don't ever think about slavery. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's human beings and they have a life and they're maybe our age or older and they have a dream in their life. They want to build a good life for their family, maybe get some
Mhm.
luxury, go on vacation, grow out from their old levels where they haven't been or where they have not been successful and become also super rich. I mean,
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. I mean,
Yeah.
look at what great companies do, maybe also for low prices, but building up things, those people still also become rich. And that's, to be
Mhm.
honest, we all want to help one another. It's not only about the
Mhm.
money and the products. It's if you there's a great book as well, or I'm living by a principle of when I read the book by Bob Berg, The Go
Mhm.
Giver. Here's a shout out to you, Bob. We've been several times also on LinkedIn over chatting with the author of The Go Giver, and it's
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
if you want to help somebody, you go and you give answers, you give reasons, you give
Mhm.
solutions to others, you help them achieve their dreams, you help
Mhm.
somebody else, and it either one day it will come back, manyfold to you because you've collected your karma points, or if not, I mean,
Oh,
to be
yes.
honest, what stops you from helping others? And Joe Polish, what's in it for them? I can
Mhm.
recommend to anybody out there as well. With Joe, I'm not yet in contact, but that's a promotion of his book. No, of course, I'm not being paid for that. But when you also think like the same thing here right now, right? What's in it for you, Oscar, right now that we are
Mhm.
here on this call? My target, of course, I mean, I could go in and pitch and do, and oh, we do this, and please come to us.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I think what's in it for you would hopefully be that
Mhm.
this is good content for your listeners, that this is that they will love it and they will come back and hopefully bring their friends and their families to helping you achieve
Mhm.
their targets. And when
Mhm.
you go to your suppliers and you help them achieve their own dreams and their own targets, I mean, they will make good work for you. They'll produce good products and they'll be
Mhm.
hopefully your suppliers for life as well.
Yeah.
Think what they want to achieve and think how you can help them achieve their targets.
Mhm. That's really good, and I think this little aside conversation or aside topic, I think it was needed in this field because when you think about or it is like it is commonly thought that product sourcing is about not slavery but ish, as you said before, but it doesn't have to be like this, no. So I reckon that that's very good, and that's why they need to go to Signify. Next question would be, what about um how would you recommend like a new Amazon seller, for example? Would you recommend to going to just or trying just one country, more than one country, just one product, or any satellite products related to this?
Mhm.
What's your take on, or can you give us any advice for
Sure,
beginners?
sure,
And then I would ask you for not so beginners, maybe vendors or whatever.
sure. I mean, maybe it's still to the question before when it comes to the point of being ethically correct and still
Hmm.
getting good results. I don't want to say overpay, of course not,
Hmm.
but leave them some margin as well. And even with this attitude, with this life, this is the motto, no, with this basic ethical understanding, we still helped to save our customers more than $500 million, not million, $500 million of dollars in savings. So you see, even with those thoughts, you can still negotiate hard and heavy, but not down to a level where they're bleeding and they're not making anything, where they become slaves, right? You can still save a lot, and that should always be the focus for anybody who is, like you say now, not necessarily a beginner, but an intermediate seller, in order to, well, for once, don't only look into new products, but look into optimizing your purchasing cost for your existing bestsellers. The COGS need to be optimized, the cost of a good sold. But when it comes to beginners or intermediate, of when you want to start looking, for example, into a new product, I mean, I don't know if we need to start by the psychology in terms of like, hey, can you is this a product that has been validated? Is there a lot of demand? Do you have the energy, the power, the will, or the heart blood behind yourself to really push that product? Because it's the same thing like, having a web page. Having a web page brings you nothing. There's no traffic. Having a product with a listing brings you nothing. There's no traffic. You need to put so much effort and work, of course, into things in order to build them up. And if you're fascinated by your own product, that helps, especially if it's your first one. And you will see you need a lot of motivation. You need a lot of guts and fire and patience and energy to push this thing through, because it's just like a web page. You put it up, just because you have it, nobody comes buying it unless it's a product that's high in demand and like nowhere else to find. If you yourself say very clearly, hey, I want to have a product made in Germany, like for example, our own second brand is a cosmetics brand, and here for us the full focus was made in Germany. And of course, I mean, look, made in Germany, or if it's possible, and you say, hey, I need the sales arguments, the USPs, that it's not made in China. By the way, we have customers in the US especially who put it in big fat letters, not made in China, onto their products for USPs. Then you could, of course, also open up and not look into one country, but maybe the whole, let's say, European, Eastern, Southeastern European, because of course those are cheaper countries for production. Look into those. If you say you want to explore both, let's say, for example, I mean, what could be the advantages be? Where's your major audience? Is it in the US or is it in Europe from your podcast?
We have both. Yeah, basically. Yeah. I would say both. Yeah, mostly lately it's Americans.
Okay, so let's focus on the US then, for example, to say that whether you want to have, not the far shoring, but the near shoring of saying you want to explore, is it possible to produce a product in Mexico? The advantages could be manifold. Like, for example, when you say you would want to do near sourcing or near shoring, means you, of course, don't have those long delivery ways, right? You don't have the long logistics change. It is not that expensive to do the shipping from Mexico to the US, and it doesn't take that much time. Sometimes it's, I'm saying jokingly, you throw it on a truck and it's there in 2 days. How much does it, I think I showed 3, I mean 2, of course.
Yeah.
How long does it take by sea from China? Depending, of course, on what route you can take currently and so on. Now, at the same time, you may order much smaller batches locally. And I mean, of course, imagine it could definitely, the product, be more expensive than in China, which is many times the case. But what are the other advantages that come with it? For example, you would say you order smaller batches of production, but more frequently. Why? Well, because production maybe goes through fast, and the shipping not a problem. It just goes and goes and goes. And that, on the other hand, also means you don't have so much capital bound into the production, because you don't fill a full container with whatever 5,000 units, but you make order batches of 300 units because you order fast, much more frequent, almost like on demand, right? So that all depends on, if you're a very absolute beginner and you say it's still tight with the money, I would probably suggest, if it's okay to source, for example, from China or other countries where it's faster and quicker and easier to get answers, because that's one of the major things. China, they understood sales. They answer to you day and night. They answer Sundays. They answer during Chinese New Year. Yes, the quality of the answer is a different topic, but they answer because they're hungry. Yeah, I want to sell. I want to be here for you. It's like, of course. Now go to Germany. I'm German. I'm allowed to complain. Old white men. Yeah, we've never done it that way. And it's like, oh, this little order, I don't know if I want to get up and give you, a quotation.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, yeah.
oh, this email address, my colleague right now, he's sick. He's on vacation. I don't look into his emails. Oh, you sent me an email? Really? I didn't see it. And, all the things. And then, oh, I have my 4 or 5 big customers. Why should I deal with your small potatoes?
Yeah,
Nah, man, I'm lazy. But of course, then they complain why China has overtaken us, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so it all depends on your situation. What makes the greatest sense? But if you want to be sure, if you want to be safe, if it's the first product, if most likely this comes from China and you just want to get started, maybe China is a good way, and you don't necessarily need to look into other countries. If it's very likely that it can be produced in other countries as well, why not look also into the eastern part of Europe, or the western part, or the Americas? Also, that could be possible. All depends
That's
on the
cool.
product and situation.
Now, this leads us to my next question, which is any success story, or can you tell us like something quite complicated that you sort of like managed um, to work out well for one of your clients?
Should it be like new products or should it be savings? I mean, savings, I could probably give you
Up to you.
not a million examples, but yes, I mean, this probably goes into both finding a manufacturer as well as saving products, saving costs.
Okay. Okay.
It's not the garlic press, but it's somewhat even similar to that. It's some beauty accessories, let's say, no, I'm not going to go in deeper, but some beauty accessories, some tools. Maybe let's say, for example, like a garlic press. Problem was, producer couldn't keep up with the amount. Producer had quality issues, and producer also was in China. So import tariffs into the US were 27%. Means if you, for example, make an order value of $100,000 an order, you will go to the US to the border, and you drop right there $27,000 anti-dumping import tariffs, so to get the products in there. My question is whether Trump or, well, now Biden, of course, as well, is leading an economical war against China or against their own merchants who need to pay that money for importing it. But
yeah, that's another question. Yeah.
I mean, I do understand that they're driving, and it works actually for us as well, because we do a lot more sourcing outside of China. The demand is growing, so it works in some, I mean, obviously in some ways. But the target was, hey, can we find that product in another country outside of China? Would of course be awesome if the price could be reduced or so. And I mean, I'm saying this as an example. I know this is never going to happen again. It was like a 3-hour work. Why do I say this is not going to happen? It was the first find that we had, the first communication, and it was a perfect, like it was like a full hit. I was like, that's insane. Usually, again, but just now calculate in, and you think you find like 30 to 60 potential producers. Went in, we found one Vietnam, even $1 cheaper, same or better quality, 0% import tariffs into the US.
That's a
Now
win-win.
you need to know the purchasing cost and the amount of units. $6 was the original purchasing cost in China, Vietnam about $5, so roughly about $1 difference. 500,000 units a year.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
That was $3 million order purchase in China, just for the product number one. Found it in Vietnam, $1 cheaper. That's $500,000 saved in a single year on a single product. And here comes the big thing: 27% of $3 million is $810,000 penalty import fees that all of a sudden you don't have to pay anymore.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
$1.31 million savings, more profit. Man, what could you do with? I mean, in general, this guy had balls, obviously, of placing $3 million a year with China, or in general with a producer. But then you save $1.31 million in a year by finding in 3 hours, again, lucky shot, a new producer in Vietnam. That was worth it. And he said, you know what? Here's the other 8 products. I think in total it's now $14 million savings per year. That's
Wow.
insane, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And many others examples we have, finding another producer without looking into the import tariffs. The guy placed a first order, also a young guy, also got balls, literally, because it was sports balls. A new order, $500,000 first order with a new supplier. I was like, dude, I'm
Oh,
scared.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
12% savings. That was $60,000 saved by a new supplier, the same one that was from China to
Mhm.
Vietnam.
Mm.
Or
Yeah. So yeah.
you would be surprised, like wooden learning towers for kids. It's the things that you can put in the kitchen. It's one of the case
Mhm.
studies that we actually show. China, I think, was $37. We looked for other countries like $36, $40, 40 euros, went into Europe. And all of a sudden, was it Romania or Bulgaria? We found it for 30 euros. I was like, what?
What? Yeah.
It's cheaper than in China and made in Europe and made out of
Yeah.
wood and shorter ways and shorter. It doesn't happen all the time, but then sometimes you
Mhm.
see it's like cheaper than in
Mm.
China and faster. And, I mean, that's nice. And no import tariffs, no taxes because you're inside the EU.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
see so many surprises really but you can't predict them
Mhm. Yeah,
because
because sorry, this reminds me of something that you said before about the made in Germany or not from China, sort of like uh, mm, banner or whatever in the products and in on Amazon, because sometimes when we do, for example, localization for products like bullet points and whatever, this is something that, for example, in Spain or in the UK or in France, they don't have it like in their minds, and when they sort of like have to sell in other countries in Europe, we recommend them to put it even in the title, like made in Europe or produced in Europe or something like that, which is like giving this sort of like fake trust to
Mhm,
customers, no?
mhm.
Because as you said, China doesn't have to be bad quality, no? Which is something like a takeaway from this episode that I'm having. Um, now
Can I
that
add
we're
another one in here?
oh yes, yeah. Sorry,
I'd love
sure.
to because a friend of mine always said, I don't know if it translates into English as well the same way. It's like the worm has to be tasting good to the fish, not to the fisherman, right?
Not to the fish. Ah, yeah.
So when you go fishing. Now the thing
Uh-huh.
here is you may have the best intentions with creating great products, for example, let's say made in Germany, or you may have the greatest impression of what you think may be good. But the question is, does your customer understand that as well?
Yeah,
Does the
yeah.
buyer, the average buyer on Amazon or anywhere else who wants to buy that product think the same way?
Hmm.
I don't want to call people stupid, but some people are stupid. If you go and look into watch the media, whatever media is out there, whatever you have in Germany, whatever TV channels, and so those people watch, and the general thinking of what China is, China
Hmm.
is bad quality. Dude, 95% of your products probably from home come from China. How can you say
Yeah.
China? They just don't think that far, but media very often puts a blind spot on them and say everything that comes from China is bad.
Yeah.
So if the customers have that belief or they say made in Germany is good, I mean, to be open, to be honest, if you have the certificates, the requirements and everything, China can
Hmm.
produce also very, very, very good cosmetics. But
Hmm.
because my customers, the demographics of my customers and the intellect of our customers, sorry if I have
Hmm.
any out there of you of our customers, but it is, if they think it must be made in Germany or made in EU,
Hmm.
then that's what they want to buy. A friend of mine, he has a lemonade drink, super
Hmm.
healthy, no sugars added, full refund system, nice glass bottles and everything. But
Hmm.
the market wants no refund. The market wants the sugary water, and it hurts himself so deeply to say, is like, dude, I've been trying, but the market
But
wants that
yeah.
sugary water, that sweet stuff, this plastic trash. That's what I hear from the big box retail. They tell me it's like, if you can make it like this and that. And so he's like, like in dilemmas. Like, I want to create a good brand, but the market,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
average customer has a different belief, knowledge system whatsoever, or sugar
Mhm.
addiction.
Mhm.
So if that's what they
Yeah.
want, maybe do
Yeah.
what they
That's what
want.
they get. Yeah. Yeah. Tell him to come to Europe, because I reckon that this friend of yours is from the US. That maybe they are
No, he's
more.
German.
No. Is it German? Oh
Yeah.
God, really? Wow, I'm
Our
surprised
German
now.
clients and
I'm
average
surprised.
people are
I'm
not
surprised.
necessarily smarter. No.
I'm surprised, because sometimes, well, at least in Spain, and I would say France as well, we are sort of like more, or the general public is sort of concerned with sugar
Yes.
and these sort of things.
But if you want to go into
Anyway,
big box retail and mass production, the mass people, for sure there are some. There's a lot of vegans. There's a lot of very healthy
yeah,
people. But if you look at the ones who read the yellow papers or in German Bildzeitung and stuff,
yeah.
uh,
Okay,
I'm
so
not making
what's
myself friends right now.
to start and finish now the episode. What do you think is the future of product sourcing? How is these new markets emerging gonna affect these globalization of products? Could you tell us what you think about this? What's
I
gonna
mean,
happen in the future?
I would believe, of course, what you can see in cycles, what happened earlier in
Mhm,
days. And if things, they go, reach out, they come back, and there's usually always cycles in history and in the world. And the same is also going for product sourcing. Now, over the last decades, a lot of that was like, globalization and producing Far East and all of that. I mean, by now, Africa is China's China, or is becoming China's
mhm,
China. Africa is becoming the
mhm,
workbench of China. So by now it's even China's outsourcing stuff, where they used to be the producers, of course, back then in the world. And
mhm,
China is also going other places to have other people working for them, because that's also raising middle class and anything of that. But what you may see is, of course, in the last years, we have those wars. We have
mhm,
environmental was like catastrophes. We have
mhm,
piracy in I mean, there's so many struggles worldwide. We see a lot of movement, of course, is going towards away from China, still doing a lot there. I mean, again, not a
yeah,
question, not a problem, but faster delivery, faster on demand delivery, less
mhm,
money bound. The world is becoming smarter. So they will, of
mhm,
course, see, do we still need to make those big investments into other countries while we can do less and small and further and faster,
mhm,
and maybe also manage and work on micro profits
mhm,
of moving things, for example, closer.
mhm,
It all depends on the industries. What we, for example, maybe see with glass industries, it is interesting when it comes especially to food. It's more of those, oh, we can't necessarily really produce it in Germany anymore, it's so expensive. Well, some of them may be starting to move towards China, while others are coming around and going to much closer production. Countries are
mhm,
growing up, countries are developing, they're becoming more production or able to produce. So more
mhm,
factories are coming up. At the same time, of course, they're also further developing into technology, into IT, into AI, into all of those
mhm,
softwares.
mhm,
Um, but what we see massively a switch over the last 2 years, where we used to be 90% sourcing in China, now it's 40. So
mhm,
we do a lot more nearshoring, and I do believe this is, of course, still going to continue, and more companies are coming out of the ground. So China will exist, but there's also other countries massively coming up, like Vietnam, for
mhm,
example, like India, like Mexico, who start producing.
mhm. Very good. So that's the fortune telling section. Now, just to finish with the podcast, could you tell us a anecdote, which can be professional or personal, that happened to you, related to miscommunication because of languages or cultural differences?
Miscommunication or cultural differences.
I'm sure you
I
must have loads.
one thing that comes. Sorry, come again?
Yeah. That I'm sure that you must have loads there.
I guess
Yeah.
so. I mean, but one of them right now that comes to my mind, or I was thinking over the last days also a lot about it, is actually with one of our own employees. She's from the
Mm-hmm.
African continent, and
Mm-hmm.
well, I was shocked myself, and it hurt me, of course, in that I've done a mistake. You know, when I talk to you about stupid mistakes, what do you think? That's stupid mistakes, right? Like it's stupid and it's nothing really
Yeah.
special. It's we just use
Mm-hmm.
it in such common language.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even using the F word. I'm just saying a stupid product. And she one day opened up to me, Sebastian, and said, like, I have to talk to you. Sure. I mean, Winnie, what's up? Sebastian, can you stop using the word stupid? What do you mean? So, I mean, this is a really offensive word. I was like, really? I mean, I'm horribly sorry for that. And of course, I mean, this is so stuck in my
Mm-hmm.
head that I feel horrible if it slips out from me again when I say
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
stupid mistake. For us, it's nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you may see this is one of the ones that really stuck with me for like a long time. Maybe this is why this is the first thing that I come up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe in her culture was like the equivalent was like very strong, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then that's why she was like a bit shocked because of that. Yeah, but that's a good example. And then the very last question: who would you like me to invite here to talk about cross borders, globalization, international business?
Huh.
Tell me.
Okay. That's a good question. I mean, I guess obviously somebody who would be focused on helping others to also sell in the other markets. For example, to start running into how do I get my product sold over other markets, either from my web shop, excuse me, please, from my web shop where I can sell them into other countries and they can help with local social media. Or when it comes to Amazon, of course, to say, you know, show me a way where I say, there's my listings, here's my images, go do those things for me. And my first thing that comes up is probably Ecommerce, Vincenzo Toscano, but he was there already. I've seen in your podcast.
Yeah, he's been here. He's been here, of
Invite
course.
Vincenzo again. He's a little good guy.
Okay, I'll do. Perfect. So I'll tell
Nice.
Vincenzo to come around again because you ping him. And
Appreciate
it's
it.
been amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. And whoever hears this, I hope we could bring at least, you know, some basic content. And do me the favor, never give up. If you have a dream, go for it, fight for it, stick with it, just push through. There will be, you know, the cycles up and down and up and down, but the ups are going to become bigger.
Fantastic, Sebastian. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.